seeing when the next time a J moment's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it a J moment.
Yeah,
We're gonna just call it a J moment from here on
Shout
out.
out to Jay again.
Shout out to Jay.
Yeah.
And we're live, cuzzo. We're live and we're back.
Cool, man. Cool.
Hit him with that intro.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. This will be episode 7, I believe, right?
Yep, episode 7.
Episode 7 of the Electives podcast. Thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe as always, because it really help us out. But let's get right into it, man. Let's discuss these guests that we've had on the podcast and kind of just where we're at as a whole. We've been doing this now for a month and a half.
Yeah, little month and a half. Well, if you count December, it's
true.
Been a little longer, but
about 2-month process.
Yeah, but live recording and dropping videos. Yeah, it's been about a month and a half.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice,
so for those who haven't listened, if you haven't been able to listen to all the episodes, make sure you go back and check those out, because so far we've had Rome or Girls Love Rome, if you want to find them on Instagram, the handles or whatever. And we've had Arayla Swan, and then we had the Always Vibin' podcast. So
3 guests.
3 guests so far.
Which I got to say, man, and I'm sure you feel the same way, but I'm really proud of the work that we've been putting out, and the consistency and getting people to come on, because it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
This podcasting thing, like we discussed with the Always Vibin', with the Always Vibin' crew, like it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff,
Yep. A lot of coordinating, a lot of organizing, a lot of time management. That's another thing. So let's start with Rome.
Okay.
Or Girls Love Rome, aka I will always call him Rome, because that's what he started out as. What did you give me a couple takeaways, maybe 2 or 3 takeaways if you have more. Great. What did you get from Rome?
What I took away from Rome, man, is that he's in a point in his life, like we've talked about many times, where he's a little older now, so his confidence within himself, his vision as far as what he wants to do, what he wants to become, he's in that space, So I took away that, like ourselves, I mean, even with ourselves and even with this podcast, ultimately you want to continue to evolve, right? So he's in that space of evolving right now. So that's really what I took. That's one of the big takeaways that I took away from him. But then I think also, man, his ability to reflect on where he came from, like the things that he brought up with mental health and with, the dark places maybe that he's been, and some of the things with his family. I think that was huge.
Right.
So those would be my two takeaways.
I like that too, man. I took those 2 away as well. I got a couple of my own. But yeah, to be able to reflect on his own, because I did ask him, like, hey, do you read? Do you, what do you do? But he just it was just kind of within himself. He was able to do it.
He's got his own method.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which that's one of the things that we talk about. Like there's more than one way to reach something or to do it,
Yeah. Yeah. And so to add to that, I took consistency away from all 3 of them. So I would definitely put, that would be the 3 that I have for each one, if we're gonna put them in, for the 3 different guests. Because he's been going at it, for almost 10 years of just being an artist, being creative. So I took consistency away from him, and that's something we can apply here.
For sure.
Just doing it, just keep going. Just kind of like we talk about. So it's nice to see somebody else taking that and seeing that it works.
For sure.
Then doing things for you, being a little selfish. I did, after the episode, I was, I thought about that, and that's in some of the books that I read as well. And, it applies. You can't do things for everybody all the time. You definitely got to look out for yourself.
Yeah, there's a saying, right? Like, nobody's gonna take better care of you than you. Because if you're not good, then everything else kind of falls out of whack or out of place,
Right. And so that was a huge thing I took away from him. And then something that you talked about in one of the episodes is getting into the space of what you want to be doing or what you're doing. So after the episode, we talked about it. I mean, even with his normal job, it's just a creative.
Yeah, he's in a creative space. Yeah.
So he's just constantly creating, which is I think it's very important if you're trying to do your side thing and make it your full-time thing. You got to kind of always be in that space.
For sure. And as a fellow artist, that's something that you may not, well, I mean, I'm sure he's thought about it, but it does translate in other spaces. So using your creativity in the bartending scene may help in making actual art and may actually help in making music because you're using different parts of your brain to be creative.
Right.
You know, and then all of it kind of just mixes together. And yeah, I mean, I would say for him, I would imagine that, you know, like he talked about him wanting to push his artist career and create more. It would almost seem like, and I don't know if, and I guess this is something we could have asked him, but if bartending was meant to be, if he thought bartending was going to be creative.
Right.
Like if he thought that it was going to be, you know, beneficial to his artistic career, or if it's just something that at the time was an option and was available, and then it just so happened to help translate in those other areas.
Yeah, that would actually be a really good question to ask him. Because I think him being creative in there all the time, and then getting stories to tell from being there all the time. You know, he's just always going to have a story to tell. So I thought that was, you know, that's good for music. And I guess art. I don't paint, but I think you draw sometimes.
Yeah, I do from time to time.
So I would assume, you know, having stories to tell, you can tell it into a drawing.
True.
So
True.
That's kind of cool. So let's move on to Arayla. What did you take away from Arayla?
So Arayla, I mean, she really helped, at least for myself, she really helped give me some insight in understanding the social media aspect of you know, having a small business or trying to have a startup. You know, one of the things she really pointed out in one of her videos that did really successful was that, you know, she said, know who your target audience is, know whether or not you're a person that can post once a day, you know, twice a day, once a week. Know these things about yourself, so that way you don't overextend yourself, right? And not be able to post consistently, or not be able to grow your page, you know, because it's going to take time too.
Right.
It's not something that, you know, just happens overnight when you're a startup or when you're marketing or you're making digital content. Like, this is something that takes time.
Right.
So,
right.
What about you?
Yeah, I had that one written down as well. You know, just being able to know what you can handle, the one post a week, consistency, like I said, and then connecting with other people. The networking was really huge.
Networking would be my second thing that I would definitely say she really shed a light on, and she's had some pretty cool experiences.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously she missed out on the opportunity to interview Neo, but the interview with LeBron and his friends.
Right.
How many people can say that they've even been in the same room?
Right. Besides that, like a basketball game, even then, I mean, it's hard to get tickets.
Exactly.
She's been right there with them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was a big takeaway from me because, you know, that applies in all areas. You know, not just, you know, social media. You know, if you're whatever it is you're trying to be, you should be networking, and you never know who you're gonna meet.
No, it's true. It's true. Very true.
And then the last one from her was the same as kind of Rome's, where she's also in the space of where she, you know, gets her job. You know, her job is also hand in hand with what she's doing. So she's constantly always doing the same thing and getting better from that.
You know what? Something real quick, too, that I just thought about was that she talked about having those bad days, you know, and how we all have bad days, right?
Right.
And on those bad days, she kind of doing like what you said earlier about what Rome did, is take some time for yourself.
Right.
In those moments where you feel like things aren't going right, or maybe you're just having an off day, take time for yourself, whether it's going to the gym or, you know, going and relaxing, or just doing absolutely nothing.
Right.
The whole day, even if that helps, you know.
Yeah.
So
because I think we all need that.
We do, man. We do. I think that we forget sometimes because we're constantly ping-ponging all over the place, and you always got something to do. You always got somewhere to be. Somebody's always inviting you to something, and you may feel obligated to, you know, to do all of these things. But sometimes, man, you end up draining your battery.
Right.
And you got to go and rest and recharge.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, like we
Exactly.
talk about. So
Exactly.
you got time. You got time.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to the Always Vibing podcast.
That was a fun.
They were a fun, fun group of guys.
That was a fun episode, man. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Eric.
Yep. Shout out those guys. If you haven't caught that episode, definitely give that one a listen. What are some takeaways that you took when they came onto the show?
So I would say, man, that number one, that they have really good chemistry, right?
And I agree with that.
It takes time to cultivate that kind of relationship. I thought it was pretty funny too. Like they talked about how at first they didn't like each other.
Oh yeah, they did say that
over at WI. Was it Western?
At Western.
Yeah, Western. Yeah. So but to see that through networking and through just kind of keeping that line of communication open, when an opportunity did present itself, they were like, "Hey, man, you want to be my co-host? You want to do this together? Yeah, let's do it, man. Why not?"
Right.
But they got really good chemistry, man, and they're funny guys. Their podcast is very lighthearted. They don't dive into serious topics, but they do also have that side to them where they're conscious of themselves. They look at they're able to look at things from a different perspective, and yeah, man, they dropped some gems for us.
Yeah, they did.
They dropped some gems, man. So that was.
Yeah, they. If you guys haven't caught that episode, you guys should definitely give that a listen because these guys, I think they're, what'd they say, about six months in? Maybe?
Yeah, about 6 months in. They started in August,
and they've gained some good traction. So along with consistency, like I was saying before, they were talking about, staying disciplined, always shooting that once a week.
Yeah.
They even the days that they didn't want to shoot, they were still shooting. And after reflecting on that episode, it reminded me of a chapter that I read in one of the books, and it talked about an entrepreneurial mindset or a way of doing things versus doing things with a purpose.
Okay.
So they were, we, along with us, you start the podcast like entrepreneurs do. They always start stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting. You go up, and then you hit
going up.
Yeah, plane's going up, and then you hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
Right? Because now the excitement's over. Now it's hard.
Yep.
Now you ran into some stuff.
Yep.
So now what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're taking that route, you're gonna fall back down, and you're gonna start something else again.
Yep.
But then when you go through the ceiling, that's when you start doing stuff with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not always fun.
No. Yeah.
It ain't always fun to do. Kind of like working out. It's not fun. I mean, maybe to some people it is, but like for me, going to the gym isn't a fun thing to do. It's something that I have to do.
I get you. Yeah. I guess, to add to that, it's like you want to, if you can, you got to learn to love the process.
Right.
Because, it is going to suck.
It's going to suck.
Some days it is going to suck.
I mean, to the road to being like a millionaire or having a successful podcast or whatever, it's not easy. So
no, and all successful people will say the exact same thing.
Right.
It's like you have to face adversity. You have to continue climbing up the mountain, climbing up the hill, going through the ceiling like you're talking about. And it's not. And I think also too, one of the things that we mentioned in that particular episode was the negative thoughts that can kind of seep in sometimes.
Right.
And how thankfully when you have a partner, when you have a team,
right.
And if I'm having a bad day, you help pull me out of it. If you're having a bad day, man, I help pull you out of it. And
right.
Having that support system, man, makes a huge difference. Huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. So all in all, I mean, I would say these three guests did a great job of providing value.
They did. In
all, like using it in all aspects too. So for those who are listening, if you take these things away that they've taught us and just start applying them, because it's one thing to learn and listen to something, but where the magic happens, where you start applying
for sure
whatever it is that you've learned.
For sure. And not being afraid either.
Right.
I mean, understanding that it is going to be scary, and understanding that it is, anytime you take a risk, man, you don't know which direction it may go, which direction it may head, but you have to take that leap of faith,
Right.
and really believe in your gut, believe in your heart, believe in your soul, man, that you are going to achieve whatever it is that that you focus on, that you lock in on. So
yeah, and one of the question that Arela asked them, was like a full circle moment, and I reflected on that, and I only applied it to the podcast, because obviously if you apply it outside the podcast, there's probably a bunch of full circle moments
for sure.
But for us was yesterday, walking into pre-mill. Shout out pre-mill in Aurora. If you guys have never been there, check out their store. Great group of guys over there.
Yep.
Walking in there and talking to the younger manager there.
Yeah, Jay. Yep.
Jay. Jay. And he's like, "Hey man, you guys are the ones with the podcast."
Yeah.
And we were like, "Yeah." And he had nothing but good stuff to say.
I know.
And I mean, me personally, I don't know him ever.
Yeah,
never met him.
I've seen him a couple times, because he would get his hair cut at the barbershop that I work at, but he wouldn't get his hair cut by me. He got it cut by another barber. And just small talk, like you walk in, you say what's up, to everybody that comes in and out, but never really sat down and had a conversation with him, and don't really know him at all. But that was a pretty cool moment.
It was, because he's like, "I actually listened to your stuff."
Yeah.
And and I was just like, "Dang." And he's like, yeah, I like what you guys are talking about. Like it's good conversation. I was like, "Dang." So that for me, it, 7 episodes.
Was that your first time like hearing like somebody outside of the people that we know give us feedback, like?
Aside from like some of the comments, because there's some of the people I don't know.
True.
But I think some of them know you some way or another, some form. Yep. But that was really the first time that, like somebody was like, "Hey, I really like your guys' stuff."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Man." I had some of my, some of my friends say that we're doing a good job, but it's like, oh, they're my friends.
Right.
Maybe they're
a little biased.
Yeah, maybe they're giving me some encouragement. But for Jay, for somebody like that, it was like, he don't know us. He doesn't even have a reason. He didn't even have to tell us that.
No, he didn't. But yeah, the fact that he took the time to tell us that, man.
So shout out Jay for that full circle moment.
For sure.
7 episodes in.
For sure.
And that was pretty exciting.
That was cool,
pretty exciting, man. Thank you, Arela, for that full circle question that you asked the Always Vibin' podcast, because that after we got to reflect on it, it was pretty cool to answer that question. So I got one for you, Cuzzo.
Okay.
What can you envision the full circle moment for our podcast to be the next time?
Okay.
Maybe we'll call it like a year from now.
A year from now, I would say, looking back on how much content we've pushed out, seeing how many guests we've had on.
Yeah.
Possibly having some of these guests come back for a second episode, because I think too that will be, with us just starting out, man, like finding the chemistry, right? And the timing of letting everybody speak and all that's a skill.
No, it
right?
is.
But having a year's worth of interviews and skill and dialogue, man, will be pretty cool to look back upon. And then secondly, I would say, and just also seeing how we've grown as men, and where we're going to be at in life a year from now will be a full circle moment, because it's only going to make the podcast better,
right?
As we continue to evolve,
right?
How about yourself, man? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say I agree with that, and then seeing when the next time a J moment's going to happen. Yeah. I'm gonna call it a J moment.
Yeah,
we're gonna just call it a J moment from here on out.
Shout out to Jay again.
Shout out to Jay. Yeah. When we get our next J moment, I want that'll be like, I wonder how that's gonna be, or who it's gonna be, or how many people it's gonna be, something like that.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
Or it just being talked about, the brand.
For sure.
I think that'd be pretty dope.
For sure.
And
we're just two regular guys, right? Like, that's something that we told Jay. We're like, "Hey, man, we appreciate you listening to us, because we're just two normal guys, man, that are just trying to put out the best content that we could put out."
Yeah, just talking about experiences, man. That's pretty much all this is experiences, our failures, our successes, what's helped us, what hasn't, and then bringing these people on, because as you see, Rome, Arela, and the Always Vibin' podcast, they have a lot of similarities.
They do. And
they're having success. Yep. So if that doesn't help clear that up for you guys, or kind of let you guys know that if you follow some of these things that we're talking about,
you're gonna find success.
You're gonna find success in what you're doing.
Yep.
So
for sure.
I think that's pretty huge.
For sure. And there's actually, you brought up something about that. Like, even though they're all doing different things,
right,
they still have some of the same issues and some of the same problems,
right,
just like we do.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what space you go into.
Right.
When you're trying to be successful, you're gonna have some of the similar experiences.
Same. We're all the same people.
We are.
We're all going through the same struggles. Let's help one another and with these advice and just sharing that information and helping each other get better.
Yep. And what's been pretty cool too, now that I think about it, man, is just how willing they were to come on, right? And not just, it wasn't that nobody that we've had on has been selfish or only wanted to come on to boost themselves up or boost their ego or anything like that. Like it's truly a partnership.
Right.
They came on to our platform with the Always Vibing podcast. Like, I'd love to work with those guys and go, I know we're going to do an episode.
Right.
That episode is going to be crazy.
Right.
I have a feeling that episode
we might have to live stream that one.
I have a feeling that episode is going to be fun and crazy.
That one might have to be a Patreon only
exclusive
episode. Yeah. You might have to pay for that one because I don't know what they're putting in the drinks over there.
Yeah, they're putting triple shots, triple shots of tequila in their drinks over there.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be fun, man. But I hope you guys. I hope this episode was short and sweet. Basically, the whole point of this episode is we wanted to cover these things that we've learned. And give them to you guys, because if you guys missed the episodes before, hopefully this quick summary of what was talked about and learned. There's so much more that's in there, but this is just some highlights, some highlights of what we got.
For sure.
So that'll cover this episode. We have. Actually, I won't tell you guys who we have next week.
Special guest.
We got another special guest next week. You guys will definitely like that one. And we will catch you guys on the next episode. Cuzzo, cue the outro.
Hit him with the outro. As always, we want to thank you guys for tuning in, for watching and listening. The Electives Podcast. We will see you again next week for episode 8. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Peace.